Hi everyone, I'm Denise Marek, and this is Life by Design. We all need a little inspiration from time to time, and our in-studio guest is very inspirational. His name is Sunjay Nath. Sanjay, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Denise.
Now, I said you're inspirational because you are an inspirational speaker.
Sometimes.
So what do you do as an inspirational speaker?
Sort of the area of my focus is I help organizations, individuals, companies, etc., improve their leadership and their performance by helping them empower themselves personally. So in a sentence, that's what I do.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, it sounds so grown up, and as you said to me, you look 12. So tell me about that. You said on the phone that you look 12, and I met you and I said, you're right, you do look very young.
It's a comment I often get from people. I've actually been professionally speaking now for just shy of 15 years. I have a degree in mathematical engineering and an MBA. So I always tell people not to be fooled by my boyish good looks. I do have some grays in there. And so what actually happened, my quick story on this is 15 years ago when I started, I had very little credibility because I didn't have the degrees, I didn't have the 15 years of work experience, and the only group I could credibly speak to was students. Coming out of high school, I had a fairly successful career. I was student council president, valedictorian, played sports, ran the school store, got high 90s average, that sort of thing. And so people started bringing me in to talk to high school students about getting involved and the merits of getting involved. And things kind of snowballed. Been doing this, like I said, for quite a while. Spoken to about 800,000 people since that time. But what I didn't realize what I was doing is I was actually creating a grassroots approach to speak to corporations. So what I found was I had people then calling me. I had a call just a couple of weeks back where a girl said, Sunjay, I have your card from 1998. I saw you speak when I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, and she goes, I now work for Health Canada. We'd like to hire you to come and do some work. And so that's how I got my foot in the door. I remember getting a call from TD Bank once. They said, I saw you speak in Frosh Week 8 years ago, and the fact that I remembered your name and whatever, and that ended up getting there, and that snowballed to a bunch of other work with TD Bank, and so that's kind of what I do and how I do it, and still look 12.
So do you sometimes still speak to student groups?
I still do. It's less and less, and I'm being more selective, but it still is a very important part because for me, there's a certain honesty that comes from speaking to student groups that you don't get from any other group. There's an energy that says if they love you, they give you a standing ovation. If they hate you, they throw things at you. Right? Whereas when you speak to a corporate audience, generally they're going to be more polite. If they love you, they give you the golf clap. If they hate you, they give you the golf clap. Right? And so there's a certain bit of refreshing energy that comes from always speaking to students. So it'll always be part of my mix. But the ratio has definitely changed over the years.
Well, I'd like to sort of talk about both of those groups that you speak to then, because one of the books you have written is called The ABCs of Student Leadership.
That's correct.
So what do you teach them when you're talking about leadership to students?
Okay, so I get in trouble all the time for saying this, but I look at this whole self-help motivational industry, and I think that everyone, every speaker, every book, every DVD, every CD out there has the same core message. And it's something along the lines of, within you, you have certain abilities. Learn to recognize them, you go further. And what makes one speaker, one CD, one book more effective than the other is their ability to speak to the language of the audience you're talking to. I always brag and say I'm bilingual. I speak student, but I also speak adult. and it's funny because you can use very similar examples, but you need to slightly tweak them. I'll give you a quick example. When I speak to students, I have this line that I'll often use. I go, how many people here have really immature friends? And the reaction is people are like, oh, and they start pointing to their friends and laughing and chuckling. If I say that to an adult group, they'll look at me going, who is this guy? If I take the same line and replace one word, and I change the word friend to say, how many people here have really immature spouses? You get the same reaction you get from students, people laughing, pointing to their spouse. So it seems like a really subtle difference, but in terms of connecting with the audience, it makes all the difference in the world. So what I'm saying when I go into a Fortune 500 company or whether I'm going to a high school, the message is still the same. And it's all along the lines of self-empowerment. Probably my biggest core belief is this, is I don't care what your story is. I don't believe there's no one in the world who's a victim unless they choose to be. And that is, I think bad things happen to good people all the time. However, if you choose to hold yourself back, that's on you. That's not a reflection of the event. And I'll give you a quick example of that. I have a 21-month-year-old at home. We have a big tree in our room, and in order to prevent him from going and eating dirt from the tree when he was younger, we put this, it's like a mountain toy thing that we stuck in between him and the tree. And he used to kind of get there and stop and whatever. And now at 21 months, it's no longer a barrier for him, but in fact what it is, it's a stepping stone that he actually stands on it. And so what I find is really amazing is that certain things that served as obstacles at one point in our life, when we have more information, when we are a little more mature, we have a better understanding, serve as stepping stones in others. So the very thing that was baggage going, I can't be successful because my dad yelled at me when I was 4, and people do hold on to that.
Sure they do.
Can all of a sudden go, wait a minute, this is what it taught me that my dad yelled at me when I was 4, and I'm not going to be successful in spite of it, I'm going to be successful because of it. So
what sort of principles do you bring into organizations then? Because you were telling me something earlier about the 10-80-10 principle.
Absolutely. The 10-80-10 principle is a brand that I use when I'm speaking with or within organizations. It's a framework to help people to entice and act. See, I believe that people know what to do.
They do know what to do.
Right. And it's one of the things when I'm doing keynote presentations, I go, it's not about getting you information. What's more importantly is about applying the information we already have. And the example I'll use is I say, how many people here know that McDonald's is not the healthiest food choices they could be making? And everyone puts up their hand. Then the second question I ask is, how many people have eaten at McDonald's in the last year? And again, everyone will put up their hand. So the emphasis isn't about getting new information, it's about taking what we already know and putting it into practice. And so 10-80-10 is a framework that allows people to do that. And if I can articulate it, it's based on this notion of focusing on your strength and building on what's already working. And not getting sucked into, I'm not very good at this, and I need to fix it. Because people don't need to be fixed. People are perfect the way they are. We just need to somehow channel our energy. And that's what 10-80-10 does. It provides a framework to help people to do that.
Well, why is it then that we have this situation where we know what it is we want to do, we have the information, but we just don't have the willpower or whatever it is to stick to it? Because just like the diet industry is so big and people are always excited because they have that hope of the new diet, the one that's finally going to work, when realistically all of the others, if they'd been followed, will work. So where does that internal drive come from?
It's there's a Donald Trump book that says the eating industry can be summed up into 4 words: eat less, move more. So you stay up at night, you watch the infomercial, they all work. Buns of steel, abs of this, whatever it is, they all work. But what are they trying to do? They're trying to make it easy for you to take the action. People will take action when they have enough leverage. When people get to the tipping point where they go, heck, I need to do this. A quick example of that would be the person who smoked all their life. And they say, quitting's easy, I've done it hundreds of times. And they, they keep smoking, and they quit, and they keep smoking, and they quit. And all of a sudden they have something that triggers a heart attack, someone close to them passes away, whatever. And the next day they stop smoking and they never look at it again. And the reason is, I would say it's because the change they're trying to make, they don't really want to make it, they're trying to make it for someone else.
That is the most well-said response to that question I have ever heard. You're absolutely right.
So we get caught up in going, see, if I smoked and my wife wants me to stop smoking, and I go, yes, dear, I'll stop smoking, but really I don't want to, I have this internal struggle, and I'm pulling one way and pulling another, and I only give half attempts at quitting or not quitting. And really what I'm doing is I'm messing up both. Same thing is when we have a lot of work to do and our friends call us, let's go to the movies. We go to the movies and we feel guilty for going to the movies because we're not doing our work and we don't get our work done. So we don't join the movies, we don't get the work done, we're living in limbo and we're not getting anything done.
Oh, Sunjay, you have such great information and our time is up. I'm going to have you back again because I think this is such a hot topic in today's society, because we do know what we want to do and we just need to have the stick-to-itiveness and the skills and the strategy and the principles to make that happen. And if anyone wants to contact you directly, I know they can go to your website at sunjaynath.com. And also to pick up a copy of your book, I believe that's the ABCsofStudentLeadership.com.
That's correct.
And we'll be having the websites up for the viewers as well. So Sunjay, thanks again.
Thank you very much, Denise.
Our special in-studio guest has been inspirational speaker Sunjay Nath, and I'm Denise Marek. And I'll be back again soon on Lifestyles. Until then, keep well and live your life by design.